Welcome to Let's Get Working. For the next 6 weeks, we will be doing a special edition of Let's Get Working. I'm joined here by Martin Wren, the CEO of Nova, and we will be taking you through a very special program. Alright, so Martin, why are we doing this program?
Well, Martha, the number of people that are coming to Nova is just growing and growing and growing. And the facts are that we're struggling to keep up.
Uh-huh.
And I also think there are a large number of people who just simply, maybe they don't need the whole services that Nova offers.
Mm-hmm.
They just need a bit of a hand and maybe some support to find their own employment. Because the way Nova works includes actually going out to look for employment on behalf of the people that are registered with us. Now, I think there are a large number of people that haven't registered with us but still want to work, who maybe just need a bit of a hand, a kick along, if you like, to find their own employment, some support to get their own job.
Sounds great. So, who is this program for?
Well, I guess it's for anybody could do this program. Of course, what we're going to be doing is tailoring the program to support the job seeking of people that have a disability.
Uh-huh.
But anybody with access to a computer is going to have no problem keeping up with the program, and anybody that follows the advice that you and I are going to cover over the next 6 weeks, I think, can be fairly confident they'll be getting interviews and possibly getting offers of employment.
Sounds really good. So how will this program help someone with a disability, say?
Okay, what we're going to try and do first is to show people the process that we would follow if we were looking for employment on behalf of somebody.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk through the steps of career identification, how you work out what you might be good at, how you go about applying for a job, what sort of things employers are looking for, the construction of a good resume, what makes a good resume, and how can we best promote ourselves to prospective employers.
Yep.
Actually attending interviews, what are people going to ask about us, and what are we going to say in order to be effective? Because you've got to remember that, generally speaking, people that advertise employment are looking for one person, but many people apply.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about how you beat out the competition, essentially.
Yes, great. And we also sometimes need a cover letter, don't we?
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
that's something we'll be covering.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is we're going to make some of the resources of Nova available to job seekers regardless of whether they're registered with us.
Yep.
So you don't have to register with Nova Employment in order to use this program, and you don't have to give us any money in order to use our things. We're just going to post them on the internet and people can download them and see for themselves how to go about job seeking.
Okay, and so we also talk about disclosure of a disability very early on in the program.
Yeah.
Why do we do that?
Well, Martha, I think for many people that have a disability, it's going to be obvious.
Yeah.
Respectfully, that's a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And so there's no point in saying, well, it's not there. It's fairly obvious. For other people, their disability is not always visible.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk about the issue of disclosure and whether you should say, hey, perhaps a good example might be people that have experienced mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to say to a prospective employer, hey, I've been unwell, or are they going to keep that quiet, a private matter? So we're going to talk about that, and what works, what doesn't work, what's
Okay.
a good idea, and how best for people to handle the issue of disclosure.
All right, sounds good. Okay, so we're also going to look at breaking down some barriers. So I guess statistics show that people with disabilities are really viable to employ.
Oh, absolutely.
They stay at their job longer, they take less sick days, and so we can look at that as well.
Absolutely, because I think people need some factual information
Yeah.
in order to see for themselves. Hang on, let me hit the rewind button. If you look at what employers worry about when it comes to disability, the things they worry about are, will this person fit in?
Mm-hmm.
Are they likely to be at greater risk of injury, either themselves or others?
Mm-hmm.
And will they be productive?
Yeah.
And what do I do if they're not? So they're the things that apparently most employers worry about but don't necessarily talk about.
Yeah.
So you could go into an interview, I could be the person interviewing you, and I might be thinking, oh my goodness me, will Martha be on time in the morning? But I won't necessarily ask.
Yep.
I might be, particularly if people haven't had a lot of exposure or been around people with disability, they're often hesitant to ask. You know, is that chair battery or gas powered?
Yeah.
Actually, you might not know.
It's battery powered. Yeah.
So they're the questions that people won't ask. And so if we then are the person that has a disability and we're being interviewed, how do we get around that? How do we handle it?
Yep. Sounds good. And also we're gonna assist people with a place to photocopy. Is that right?
Well, what I thought we'd do is we'll make the resources of this organisation available to support people's job seeking. So if people need a hand with stuff like, I've written my resume, but is it any good? They can email it to us, we'll put a professional eye over it and send it back.
Yeah.
And that's at no charge. People want to send out numerous copies of their resume. Well, come to us and we'll photocopy some for you.
Yeah.
And you can use those. Because what are the barriers to employment for people with disability? Well, cost will be one of those barriers. You know, I don't know how much a stamp costs these days. It's about 60 cents.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, not particularly expensive. But if you have to send 100 letters, suddenly it's $60.
Yeah,
and that's
totally right.
expensive.
Yeah.
So we'll give a hand with those sorts of things as well. So we'll give a hand with the material resources necessary to apply for work. We'll give a hand with the expectations of employers in the presentation of the applications, and whatever else we can do in order to facilitate the job seeking process.
Sounds great. I think this program will work well for a lot of people out there who are just willing to give this a try.
Yeah,
See what happens.
What we're going to try and do is look at the barriers and try and overcome them.
Yeah.
The first barrier is inertia. You know, I'd like to work, but I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
And so I sort of
Yeah.
and don't actually do anything. So we're going to show people how to start, and we're going to give lots of support and encouragement to actually make it start. And I'm going to make you, well, I won't make you a bet because I know you're not a gambler. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to say to you, I'm pretty confident that if people follow the advice that we give, they're pretty much guaranteed
Yep.
to be working in pretty short order.
Okay.
And that's despite disability.
Yep.
We're aiming at people with disability. If you don't have a disability and you're watching this and you think, I'm going to use all of his stuff and get myself a job, we've got some bad news for you, because the offer of free support only applies to people that have a disability. But I tell you what, anybody following this advice and this instruction will most certainly improve their job seeking and are more than likely to get employment, because we've been trying this for more than 22 years.
Yep.
We've done it with thousands of people. And you might be thinking, well, they're not like me, they've got bigger barriers. I can tell you this, we've got over barriers for people that they have said to me, well, you know, I haven't worked for 40 years. What's different about this? The difference is what we're going to do works.
Yep. Okay, so the program is going to look at how you market yourself,
Absolutely.
how to network,
Yep.
how to cold call,
Yep.
how to create a resume,
Yep.
how to write a cover letter,
Yep. That's pretty comprehensive.
interview skills.
Yep.
And then we're going to wrap it all up.
Yep, that sounds good. Now, if we can do that over the next 6 weeks, and if you're watching this and you tune in and do these things with us, pretty confident you're going to be working by the end of it.
Yep. So, along with every week, we're going to put in some worksheets for people to work on to get them one step closer to finding a job.
Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent.
Okay.
Now, one of the things we should have said is, okay, why on earth would anyone listen to you? Apart from the fact you're nice.
I guess I've been doing this for about 18 months now,
Yep,
and I've seen the results. I've
Yep.
seen people get their own job,
yep,
and yeah, just gain that confidence and push through and succeed.
Okay, so I want to know a little bit more about you. Okay.
Okay.
So you're Martha, I know that.
Yeah.
But tell me about your role. Tell me about your qualifications.
Okay.
Assessment and training.
I have done a counselling course.
Yep.
I'm currently working on a life coaching certificate.
Yep.
I've done extensive volunteer work.
Yep.
I have taught at TAFE.
Yep.
And I applied to work at Nova because of the values and integrity, and I felt I had the goods to help out with looking after clients.
Mm-hmm. So what is your actual role?
I'm a job coach.
And what does that mean?
So I empower and encourage and equip people to look for work.
And what does that look like? What's the setting for that?
So 2 days a week I have people come in.
Yep.
And we go through pretty much what we're going through in this program.
Okay.
And I teach them how to write their resume and market themselves and create a cover letter, and we just go through things step by step. And then I do networking and cold calling and prepare for interviews, and away we go.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Martin Wren is the CEO of Nova Employment. Nova Employment is your baby, would you say? Yeah.
It's not much of a baby. I think it might
Okay.
be an adult.
It's an
my adult.
It's been around for 22 years.
Yeah.
Growing rapidly.
Yeah, Nova still grows.
Mm-hmm.
The role of the organisation is obviously to assist people that have a disability to find and keep work.
Yeah.
And that's not changed in the whole time
Okay.
we've been together. But I think where Nova is strong is in relation to putting the interests of the people that we serve first.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, if you're an employer, then we've got to look after you.
Yeah.
But Nova is focused on ensuring that people that have a disability that come to us for employment support get the support they need to find work.
Okay.
And the reason that you and I have been working on this particular project is because more and more people are seeing what's being achieved
Yeah.
by other people that have a disability, and they're thinking, I could do that.
Yeah.
I want the opportunity to try and participate as well. So much so that we're not swamped, but we're seeing more and more people coming forward. And I suspect, Martha, that's wherever you see a little bit of demand, it's like an iceberg. There's even more just under the surface, and we want to use this program to try and reach as many people as possible. Nova, for example, has had something like 6 million people look at our Facebook page over the past week or so.
Amazing.
Now, a lot of those people are not even in Australia; they're overseas.
Yeah.
We want to be able to support people wherever they are
Yeah.
to find their own job, because it is through employment that people find a sense of purpose.
Yes.
In Australian society particularly, your job is one of the ways in which you're defined.
Yeah.
So people will say, who are you? And you say, well, I'm Martin. And the next question is, what do you do?
Yeah.
And we want to know where people fit in. And right on the bottom of the hierarchy of Australian society are people that are unemployed.
Yeah.
And everyone knows that's where they're at when they're unemployed. Call them dull bludgers. They may not be, but that's what they're called, and that's how people feel. And if you've been unemployed and wanted to work, it can be very, very emotionally testing.
Yeah.
So we're going to look to make that as painless as possible by getting people into employment as quickly as possible.